This morning we're welcoming to our studio Sarah Lee and Ravin Cook, Sylacauga Autism Initiative. And ladies, good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us. Hope you had a good Easter.
We did.
All right. Sarah, let's begin with you. Autism, the Sylacauga Autism Initiative is coming up, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But both you ladies have children that deal with autism. Talk about that just a little bit, Sarah.
Autism, it's a wide spectrum of things. So it could look a lot like a busy child, not busy child, social child, not social child, some who's aware, some who's not aware. So it's a wide spectrum of symptoms, and it affects, I guess you could say, it's detected easier in children. So that's where everybody might have the confusion that it's only children, but you have it throughout your life. So Lucas was diagnosed right at 18 months old.
Ravin, good to have you with us this morning as well. You have two children.
I do.
13 and 2.
Yes.
Both are affected with autism, is that correct?
Yes, sir. They are. Both are level 1, but they're both like night and day. With autism, it doesn't look the same with every child. Like she said, some are verbal, some are nonverbal. They have behaviors. In the country, we'll say cutting up, or some people will say being bad. But if you're not a family or a parent that understands autism, that's the misconception, that children are bad. They don't understand. They could be stimming. They could be having a meltdown. We really have to educate ourselves more, and that's why we all came together.
Sarah, I'm sure a lot of parents don't easily recognize the traits, the difficulties that autism brings to a family.
Yes, it's particularly with my son. My son he's always had a problem eating. He has too much sensory.
Now, how old is
issue. He's 5
Okay.
now. So he can't eat a whole lot of foods. He has a gag reflex. We throw up everywhere we go. But then also at the same time, he also is sensory seeking, I guess, for that deficit there, and he tends to run away a lot. So Sylacauga police are pretty fond and aware of little Lucas.
Well, we laugh about it a little bit, but it's a very serious situation.
It's very serious. I laugh at it now because, what a roller coaster. I wouldn't have thought to be in this position, to be talking about it, to openly admitting that my child has these symptoms and these difficulties. But here I am, and I'm still fortunate. I'm still lucky.
Yeah. Ravin, how do parents deal with their children being affected with autism?
Support, family, friends, that can relate, number one, prayers, God, help from your medical team, the physicians, your occupational therapists, speech therapists, ABA therapists, that helps you a lot. But with prayers, and you got to have a lot of patience.
Sarah, does your child, and Ravin, you can jump in on this as well, do the children recognize that there's a challenge in their life?
I wouldn't, for Lucas at least. Lucas is he keeps to himself. So it's like he's not so much aware. So all the other kids might notice that Lucas is being a little different or weird. But, Lucas is in his own world. And so I don't think he recognizes his challenges, except for when we're trying to do some kind of feeding therapy. Then he's like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just, it's terrible.
Yeah. Wow. I tell you, Ravin, with two children, and the youngest is 2,
Yes.
that presents some different challenges.
It does. My son, he was diagnosed at an older stage. He wasn't diagnosed as young as her son was. So, my older son, he's more
He's
like
13, right?
he just turned 13 on yesterday.
Okay.
And so, he hasn't quite accepted that I have autism. He just feels like this is just who I am. Versus my youngest child, he definitely is not aware that he has autism. And it is hard because Andrew, my older son, he has the more milder symptoms. But with autism, you can also have other conditions. He has a coordination disorder as well, such as having a son, you want to play sports with him. He doesn't catch the ball as well as other children might because of his disorder, which my youngest son, he has a lot of behaviors. Like I said, in the South, we'll say, oh, he's cutting up, he's bad. No, he's having a stimming moment. Maybe he can't fully communicate with us what his need is. So you kind of have to figure out what that is. What is his need at that moment?
Do educators, do they understand and do they recognize the challenges of a child?
I would say for Sylacauga schools, I feel like we've got a good school system that is supportive. There might be plenty of schools out there who aren't so supportive or aren't able to be supportive, with funding and resources. It takes a lot because with IEPs, a lot of these children need aides, and aides have to be hired, they have to be trained, they have to be paid, and so it's just a whole stacking system of needs. So for Sylacauga, I would say we're doing good. Miss Fleeman has helped us. Currently, we're with Miss Phillips at Indian Valley. She's been wonderful. And so, same with Miss Fisher. She's also a great teacher.
Yeah. With a 13-year-old,
Yes.
what grade is he in?
He's in the 7th grade at BB Comer.
7th grade at BB Comer. Turning into his teen years.
Yes.
A teen always has initially different things that they deal with. But a young guy that's
developing
and he's dealing with autism as well, that's got to be a double whammy for him.
It is a double whammy, but like I said, with the help of occupational therapy, we have a wonderful support system within our family. My husband is there to help guide him through it. But like I said, Andrew, like she said, you're kind of in their world. And, he's so positive and he is just like, nothing is going to stop me. He has really persevered through having this diagnosis.
How do you not get frustrated?
You do
impossible.
get frustrated. You do. I can say for me, at first, I kind of felt like a failure as a parent. What did I not do when my child was in utero? I felt like I took all my vitamins. I'm a nurse, so I continued to work. And then, my oldest son was born before COVID, and Ahmad was born after. But, we're still dealing with the after effects of that. So, you feel kind of like a failure at first, but with prayers and support, like I said, you kind of get over that, but you still have your hard days. You do, but you have to have support. And that's where our community organization comes in.
I would just say 100% what Ravin just said. She summed that up perfectly. It's just, you have to have the support.
Well, talk about the Sylacauga Autism Initiative. What's this about?
So it started, Corporal Tate here in Sylacauga, she is over the Project Lifesaver. And so she comes and does my son's bracelet. And so we were talking about, we need an event for the special needs kids. Because although we have a lot of great events in Sylacauga, sometimes they're just not a good fit for kids. Gymnasiums, or there might be too many people there, just not enough space. So we wanted to make our own designated event. And so with that, me and Corporal Tate started talking ideas. And then she got some folks to come along. I got some folks to come along. That's how me and Ravin met. Was I reached out to Brian Taunton, and he told me, Ravin's your girl. And so Ravin and I have been doing a lot of work for two people. And that's what it's come about, is an event to bring us together, for us to network with people. In hopes that we can turn this community organization into a nonprofit that supports Sylacauga and Talladega County.
Well, let's face it, Ravin, not a lot of us know a whole lot about autism.
Right, and that's where Sylacauga Autism Initiative comes in, and that's where, we know that we need a lot of education about this. We know autism can be misunderstood if this isn't a part of your everyday life. And so that's why we have done the work with our other sponsors and our friends that's a part of this group. I know Greer Wright, Bizignani City Councilwoman, we discussed something such as this a few months back. She's affected by autism as well. And so her and Zachary Gaines of Gaines Behavioral, and like you said, Corporal Tate and many others, they are all a part of this to help us get to this point where
so it's going to be April the 11th. It's coming up real soon.
It is.
Yes, that's our first event to kick it off and kind of introduce ourselves. It's called Celebrate the Exceptional, and we are going to have so much going on this next week to get it up and going on this weekend from 12 to 2 on the 11th.
It's going to be at Pinecrest School, is that right?
Pinecrest Elementary, yes.
Okay. I just sitting here thinking, and that's dangerous when I sit and think,
It's okay.
but I wonder how many children have been misdiagnosed.
A lot. I can say for my journey,
Underdiagnosed even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
underdiagnosed, definitely. I can say through my journey, you know, we were told at first that it was just ADHD. But when we were referred out to Children's of Alabama, you know, we found out that that was not the case. You know, autism and ADHD, it can mirror each other. So you can still have autism and ADHD. So there is a lot of misdiagnosis, underdiagnosis, and that's why we want to bring more education to the community so that, you know, we can kind of help make an impact on getting the children properly diagnosed.
So Sarah, if people need more information about autism and how they can get help, I'm sure there's people watching across Alabama that said, hey, that's affected my child. I didn't know it. So what do they do?
Personally, you talk to your pediatrician, and if they don't listen, which I've had a friend or two have this situation, I always tell them to go to autismspeaks.org, and they have a self-assessment there, and you can complete that and provide it to your provider and be like, hey, this is the result, and I am actually in need of care for my child. And, you know, knowing when to maybe seek another doctor. You know, I'm not saying like be on a witch hunt for a diagnosis, but you know, the earlier the intervention, the better. And these therapies are all play-based. They're all wonderful. We've done ABA since Lucas was diagnosed. Luckily, some reason God put us on a fast track for Lucas. He got diagnosed at 18 months. He got in ABA at 20 months, and he's been doing good ever since. And so between the ages of 1 and 5, the brain develops the most of your whole life, of any time of your life. It's the most critical development point. And so getting services to help during those times, it just produces amazing results for the capability or the stability of the child or person as an adult.
Ravin, to get more information out, we've got Sylacauga Autism Initiative coming up April the 11th. Pinecrest School from 12 to 2. And if people need more information, can they go on Facebook or anything like that and find out anything?
Yes, they can go on Facebook and follow us at Sylacauga Autism Initiative, or they can send us an email to autismsylacauga@gmail.com. They can email us and they can get a response back from me or Sarah Lee. Or if you just see us around in the community, don't hesitate to come up to us and ask us more questions.
Yeah, hey, look, these are our children.
Yes.
They're our most precious.
They're the future.
Yeah, and we can't just say, well, that's just the way it is. We've got to reach out.
That's right.
And try to help. So we thank you both for coming in this morning, Sarah Lee and Ravin Cook. You know, certainly we urge people to pray that God will place you guys in the right position for help for your children and those that you're watching this morning to help your children as well. Thank you, ladies, for both coming in this morning.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you so
us.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Daybreak this morning. That's a wrap for me.